From being some of the happiest people on earth, Nigerians have slumped to the rank of the most depressed in Africa. This was contained in the latest report released by the World Health Organization, that's WHO, which shows that Nigeria has more than 7 million sufferers of depression. That is 3.9% of the population. Depression is a mood disorder that causes a variety of emotional and physical problems. Ultimately, depression can lead to suicide, which is the second leading cause of death in 15 to 29-year-olds globally. Well, joining us now via Zoom for more insight on this matter is Praise Ogabi. She is a lawyer, author, lecturer, and a survivor of depression. Also joining the discussion is the Deputy Director, Nursing, Lagos State Ministry of Health, Shola Aketi. She is also a former Vice President, West African Postgraduate College of Nurses and Midwives. Good morning, ladies. It's good to have you on the program this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right.
Having me.
Thank you. Let me begin with you, Praise Ogabi. Let's even begin from the basis. How did you know that what you were going through was depression?
So initially, when I started feeling very down, like more than normal, I was crying all the time and all of that, I didn't realize I was depressed. So someone that pointed it out to me. I had a conversation with a friend and I just explained to him what I was going through. I don't know what's wrong with me. I was feeling this way. I was feeling that way. I said, I think you're depressed. I think that's when it dawned on me that, okay, I was going through something that was not just a normal feeling of sadness or being down, because it persisted for a really long time. So that's how I knew that I was experiencing depression. And it occurred more than once, a couple of times over a range of time.
Please, I'd like to know, what are the statistics, various statistics you have about depression? And can you actually categorize them maybe in terms of economies, maybe families, maybe geography, the categories of depression? Do you have any sense of what they are?
Can I get the question again?
Are you
asking about signs of depression?
Yes, the types of depression, and you have statistics about them, and can you categorize them in terms of professions, in terms of economy, or whether family, culture, things like that? Have you gone through those analysis? Can you get our audience to get it? Maybe Shola can do that for us. Yes.
Do justice to that. Yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and share my little knowledge with my community. Mental health challenges has been major cause of all the women in the country. Following the COVID-19 menace, things have been normal again. We are now in a new normal approach system. And when we talk of mental health challenges, especially depression that you mentioned, and what is depression? When you have a low level of esteem about yourself, when you cannot do those things you used to do with courage, and a lot of bad news coming to you, then you felt you have lost it. Depression comes through all segments, politically, socially, economically, even with the tech that we are all advocating. In fact, I must say that's one of the reasons why many people are going to depression easily, because instead of sharing their mind with people, they get glued to their phones or to their gadgets all day. And when you don't express yourself to somebody nearby that can give you a little positive mindset or positive thoughts towards whatever you are going to, definitely the person will go into depression. So you asked about the statistics. Before COVID-19, precisely 2018, WHO came out with about 5% of adults. But I'm talking to you, it's like 5% every day. of work life? Is it insecurity we want to talk about? Is it the kidnapping? Or whatever. Those attributive factors makes individual not to be able to assertively say is sound. And if I must tell you, depression tops one of the leading factor or leading forces. We have stress response syndrome, just as I've just mentioned it, which was formerly known as adjustment disorder. Many people are trying to adjust to current lifestyle, resulting in stress. How about anxiety disorder? To travel from Lagos to Ibadan, a few days ago, precisely on Tuesday, we all knew what happened on Kara Bridge. You are not sure what will happen the next minute. And because of you talking, I mean, the news this morning, the security agent that we believe that if anything happened, they're always there for us. They are threatening to go on strike. Something must have pushed them to that. Anxiety of how am I going to get my next meal is on the increase. The students have been at home since February. The parents are like, if these students should go back to school, are they going to be who we expect them to be? Many vices, many negative attributes they have imbibed because of their staying at home. I mentioned post-traumatic stress disorder that was significantly known following COVID. Thank God for Nigeria and some other African countries. I must tell you emphatically that this particular post-stress traumatic stress disorder is of magnitude that every country, every organization should begin to work. For instance, Lagos State is trying their best. They look at it as Ministry of Health, precisely. They look at it that yes, following COVID, statistically, we found out that people are just dropping dead. People are just having raised blood pressures. They had it before, but it's now becoming a normal thing that just live with it. Once you have diabetes, then really you have raised blood pressure, and some are hereditary. But most of these ones are economically related, socially related, politically influenced, technologically based, and to worsen it, environmental placed. How do I mean? Last year by now, or 2 years ago, people have started planting maize. But what happened now? So we have a lot of changes around us that even contribute to this menace. Depression is on the high rise.
Yes.
Let me stop for now.
No, Shola, I mean, you know that we are also such a religious people, a religious nation. So I wonder perhaps, it's not a bad thing, it's a compliment actually. Nigerians are such a religious people. But let me ask you, is there any connection whatsoever between this, is there any spiritual connection with depression or to depression?
There was interruption in the communication.
All right, now, Shola, I'm asking, is there any spiritual connection to depression?
As a matter of fact, mindfulness is a medium through which you try to work positively on yourself. Is a kind of working to ensure that you live a positive lifestyle. Some will term it to be emotional intelligence. What does it entail? It entails meditation. It entails moving away from every occurrences. It entails not being negative about yourself. You develop your mind that I'm not going to let this thing affect me. So what is the correlation of religion? In religion, meditation plays a significant role. I mean, meditation plays a significant role in religion. And if you can understand early in the morning, just to give little time to yourself, meditate for about 10 minutes, during which Muslim, they do that by praying, Christian, they do that by praying, but after the prayer, you wait for some time to assess. From there, you'll be able to come out with one or two things that could support your strength. One of the things that like she rightly mentioned, she was able to identify herself because some thoughts, negative thoughts, persistently were coming to her. And she felt that this thing, I must not let it weigh me down. So what you do on daily basis is to do that meditation, and that's what we call mindfulness. I mean, in the UK today, they're really working towards the young minds, seriously, to ensure that, because that's where it all starts from, peer influence. And so the placement of religion is that when you get to the church or to the mosque and you are able to listen to some stimulating words, comforting words, it will inadvertently assist you to live a normal life, to live a life that will enable you to, oh, why should I commit suicide? Change of mind. And that's how you see women in the church more than men anyway, because women take things to their heart. Is it the child when they are rearing their children? Is it the love for the husband? Is it the love of the father for the family? They put it in their heart. And the rate of hypertension outweighs in women than men, because men are logical, women are mostly heart. They are kind-hearted. They put everything. So the placement of religion will enable whoever that is having the thought of committing suicide, because suicide does not happen one day. It has been a series of trials. And when you failed, for instance, in February, I know of a fine, young, promising guy who has been looking for a job for almost 2 years. Very fine and handsome. And the parents are pushing, but he wants to marry this and that. And the guy had been trying severally. He made an attempt to swallow some drugs. He refused. I said, no, I still have life. Because friends are around him. Families are around him. Along the line, he got to know that he lost one of his parents. He was like, what do I live for? As of that time, if somebody has come across him through religious words or through some kind of stimulating words that is positive, definitely, I believe, we have committed that suicide. So suicide was not just immediate. It has been trying, you must have tried on 2 or 3 occasions before you come to realization.
All right, Shola Katie, we need to quickly interject your thoughts, your line of thoughts there. We need to go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We have been having a conversation around depression, and we have 2 persons speaking to us on that. Praise Ogabi, who is a survivor, and we also have Shola Katie, a nurse and an expert with regards to that. Praise, let me come to you at this point. You have told us how you got to know that you had depression at some point. And Shola Katie has to talk to us about how people have to be mindful. And it was obvious that you were mindful of what you were going through, and that was why you began to seek help. Talk to us from that window, your having to seek help and how that helped you, come out of this depression.
Thank you very much. For me, I really had to do a combination of a number of things to come out of depression. First, I sought professional help. So went to the hospital, got examined, got placed on medication to help improve or manage my mood. Then I went through therapy and also tried my best to connect to my family, because what depression does is try and seclude you, try and make you withdraw into yourself. So I have to intentionally come out of that. Okay, I'm going to talk to my family, I'm going to talk to my friends, I'm going to have those conversations. And also for me, faith also helped, because spirituality is one of the aspects of a person's life that really helps you if that's what you're about. So praying to God, talking to someone that you believe is bigger than you, that, okay, this is how I feel, this is why I feel this way. And also identifying the trigger for what triggered the depression. That's a way to prevent another episode from happening. Like you say, okay, well, why am I always feeling down? Like from time to time, I have this feeling of depression. So you have to identify that trigger and know that, okay, how do I deal with it? How do I eradicate this trigger so it doesn't keep triggering depression in my life? Because depression really messes things up. You won't be able to do anything before you gather the piece of your life back and start again. It's always a growing process. It's better to just deal with it once and for all. And
still staying with you, Praise, did you at any point suffer any kind of stigmatization from people around you?
Well, for the period during I was depressed, I think it was even during a strike, which is even happening now. I was in university back then, so it was during a period of strike. So I really interact with people enough to see that, okay, I was being stigmatized. But actually, the drugs caused weight gain, so I was stigmatized for becoming bigger. So that was where the stigma came in. People were talking, carrying rumors that maybe I used something to add weight, all sorts of things. So that was where the stigma came in, and the, will I say, shaming. Yeah, so that's where it came in. It wasn't that many people did not know I was depressed or I went through certain things, but they just saw me and it felt, oh, why are you looking different from how you used to look? And that was the major problem.
Yeah. Tell me, Praise, what should people look out for around them for signs that somebody is depressed, so that they can intervene? Because it's possible that you can be depressed and you're not aware that you are depressed, and you could start moving from one kind of pathology to another, one activity to another, and destroying yourself without knowing that this is the real problem. So how can such people be identified from your own experience and get help before it gets worse?
Okay, so from my experience, there are many ways people exhibit different symptoms when they're depressed. Some people get reckless. Their recklessness, like abuse of drugs, reckless sex, having reckless sex, having just participating in all sorts of vices that that they don't normally get themselves involved in. That might be a cry for help. There's someone that is also very overly judgmental and critical. Sometimes when people are always seeing the wrong side of things, they're always judging people harshly, always using cutting words. Sometimes they don't feel good about themselves. That's why they are lashing out at other people. So that might be a symptom of depression. Then also when someone is the regular one, person is always down, always crying, always down in the dumps, doesn't want to talk to anybody. Maybe person was into sport, doesn't want to carry out any activity, low energy levels, doesn't want to read, and all of that. Then that's also a symptom for depression. So to help those people, there's this thing they talk. There's something they call talk therapy. Talk to the person. Why are you acting this way? Just try and get out of the person what's really going on. Then if it's something that you can't deal with, then you could refer the person to get professional help. Because there are different levels. If it's still at the early stage, you can just talk with the person, pay attention to that person, and over time you bring the person out of it. But if that's gone to maybe clinical depression levels, then the person has to seek professional help. Yes.
Yes. Let's bring in Nurse Shola into the conversation. Nurse, perhaps you're still there with us.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just wondering,
I'm here.
Is it possible to wear the makeup of happiness, to wear a smiling face, and yet you're depressed?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Agabi, for being sincere. She really went through it. No matter who you are, even if you powdered your face, first layer, second layer, third layer, as many layers as possible. Once there is depression, you will know. One of it is what you just said. Very irritable. You don't see any positivity around you. You are always judgmental. You want to show that you know it all. And when they correct you, are not ready to. Feeling sad all the time. Numbness. Feeling unhappy. What are they doing? You criticize, not with a positive mindset, but with a negative one. Feel angry all the time and not feeling that happiness that everybody enjoys. Sometimes you start for yourself, or you're always obsessed. Am I not too fat? Am I not too slim? Am I not this? And for the fact that everybody minds themselves that they've segregated me, you pick offense easily. Those factors or those symptoms should be checked out with, or should be looked out for. If you are the type that worked in such an environment in the office or your neighborhood, it's expected for you to call the person, to understand that this particular person is going through this depression, and is as good as I should not disturb him or her. In the world where we live in, we live solitarily. Everybody lives on their own, like I earlier mentioned, because of the social media involvement. So when you are irritable, when you have a hallucination, all the time talking to yourself, by the time you are having those symptoms, please seek for help. Therapy is the ultimate. Many people come to the hospital today to come and transfer their aggression on the health workforce. And if the health worker herself does not have enough capacity to hold herself very well, she retaliates. We don't do that. There are so many mentally challenged individuals on the street. They will not eat. Some they will start, I want to slim. I want my tummy to low. And comparing themselves all the time with somebody. Those are the signs, early signs, and seek for medical experts. Like I earlier mentioned, the placement of religion also have something to do with it. As in every morning, everybody prays, you are in the church, you are in the mosque, or if it's your own traditional, you try as much as possible to also embrace it. But more importantly, your supreme God is the only one you can communicate with often than none. And this idea, when you express yourself, don't worry, it's all good, is one of the contributory factors. Don't say don't worry, express it. Lack of expression, detail it to whosoever you can even share your mind with, also cover the problem or add to it. Like I said, there are so many people, like I'm mentioning it to us today, that depression comes in any stage, be it at childhood, adolescent, adulthood. It depends on ability to identify, number one, assess yourself, personal assessment. Number two, source for help. If you source for help and it's not forthcoming, submit yourself to the experts for the assistance. So when all these signs are presenting, like I earlier mentioned, numbness, feeling of negativity, always being judgmental, not being happy around your environment, swinging mode. Today you are happy, no matter the amount of powder you place, those factors or those features will still shows. Yeah. And that's when they will know that this fellow, and whenever you are going through it, it's not for whosoever that's very close to distance himself or herself, but to show commitment, to show care. That care is what we are lacking in our community.
Right. That's
majority
where
of our students, they are going through this depression.
Shola, that's where I'm going to. The role of support systems.
In the UK today, I can tell you.
Can you hear me?
17.1 billion have been set aside for young minds.
Right. Can you hear me?
Doing? What strategy do you put in place?
Can you hear me, Shola, Katie? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Now, I was saying that I was going to the role of support systems for persons who find themselves depressed. And also, we also made a point about there are those who do not even know that they are depressed, though they are smiling, but they don't know. What is the role of support systems in helping them identify this and help them to also find help? Because we don't talk about this, like you rightly pointed.
That is one of the reasons why I'm happy for media station for coming out at this point in time repeatedly. I've listened to it. This is not the first time you'll be talking about mental health challenges in our society, but you doing it repeatedly is an indication that you are getting people to be aware of what the society looks like now. The role of support system from media is to keep on advocating for it. The role of support system comes from the experts. That when they get, for instance, in the hospital, the healthcare workers should know that these ones we call them patients. Some said clients, but that word patient should speak louder, that you should be patient with them. The same thing goes for transportation system. You make it seamless to reduce stress. I'm serious. The support system we are talking about now should start from the government themselves. They should have a percentage. Like I earlier mentioned, in the UK, about 11.7 billion was set aside for these young minds. 10-year strategic plan. What plan do we have in place? It's only Lagos that I can speak for. In the northern zone, as of 2017, the rate at which these people are coming up with substance abuse is quite alarming. And instead of checkmating it, now it has gone beyond normal. And that's why we are facing it. So the support system should come from the government, individual, NGO, come out en masse. Many people at the psychiatry, they are already overwhelmed, but some that are experts, that know what to do, come out as an NGO. Let the government also support the cause. For instance, in Lagos State, they did something by Ministry of Health, supported by Youth and Social Sport, by calling something a wellness center. Let individual organizations, just as you have for your crèche, you have a wellness center.
All right.
Well, I wanted to ask, because you're talking about religion. Religion is an important part of Nigeria.
Before that,
hello?
Sorry, that wellness center
hello?
should be placed. Hello, I'm back.
Yes, well, I'm
think
trying
it's
to ask a question. Sorry. And
Yes,
this
please.
question goes for two of you. We're a very religious society, but if this depression is becoming more and more prevalent, is it a factor of the failure of our religions to actually cope with the situation, or have the religions actually worsened the situation? Because you have a situation where in some places they believe that if you go there you get miracles, and then you don't get the miracles. You are supposed to be rich, you don't get rich. You're supposed to get jobs, you don't get jobs. And every day somebody comes and says, I'm giving testimony, and you are not getting your testimonies, and so on. And there are fewer people getting testimony that go to church than those who don't have testimony. So tell me the other side of religion in this matter, because we know that it's good to pray and it's good to get into that Zen moment and so on. But how many people actually have been turned off into more depression because of this?
Thank you so very much. Let me quickly take it up. Like I earlier mentioned, mental health is both psychological and emotional well-being. And by whatever you hear, transmit easily into your mind and you don't forget. However, most of our religious centers, they are turned to a money-making machine. And many of which, they fake it. We don't live a normal life again, where you go to church, you follow the proceedings, you go home, and you rejoice with your family. But somebody like I mentioned earlier, wanted to copy your friend. Oh, praise God, you give that testimony. And at the same time, the person that has not gone through it before, you believe, oh, mine should come. You don't, God is a miracle worker, yes, but he appreciates the fact that he will bless the works of your hand. Majority, they don't have work, but they are waiting for miracles. Yahoo or the whatever, they will go as far as see as many people they could scam as possible, and they will still come to the same church. These are where we are having problems. Should teach the right thing in the church. Let their mind be satisfied. Yes, miracle comes, and people sharing is to elevate one another. But in the cause, the shepherd or the pastor or the prophet or the imam or sheikh should see it in a way to tell people that no, this is not the right way to go about it.
All right.
Let us have a change of mind. So they should enhance that, whatever the testimony they give, their own word in the course of admonishing them should bring them out of the problem and not to compare with.
All right. So
religion should play a role.
Yes, just a moment, Shola, so we can bring in praise into the conversation as well. Praise. Let me take you back to when you felt depressed. Were there voices in your head, and what kind of voices did you hear? Because we've seen videos of some persons jumping into the lagoon on the 3rd Mainland Bridge, and some who probably escaped getting to that level said there were voices in their head. So I wonder what kind of voices you heard when you were depressed.
Okay, thanks for the question. For me, when I was depressed, I wasn't hearing voices, to be honest. But I've heard of people that have had that experience, and it's another level of I think they call it extrasensory perception. It's another level of mental illness, where you start hearing voices. Some people see a person talking to them and telling them to do this, to do that, to jump, and all of that. So I don't think I got to that level. It was managed on time, so I did not experience that. But people go through that, and that is also difficult to manage. So it takes therapy, medication to manage prayers. Yeah. So.
All right.
All right, quickly. You still have a question?
Yes, I was just going to ask, because I mean, you said yours happened during an ASU strike, and we are experiencing another ASU strike now for the past 5 or almost 6 months. So I wonder perhaps what you think Nigerian students who are in public universities may be going through, having been at home for almost 6 months now.
Okay. Yeah, so my brother is at home. He's been home for the length of the strike, and I see the effect of the strike on him. So I can look at him and I see what he's going through. Some days You just try and keep himself occupied, but it's not easy because some days like he doesn't understand his life, this. You just start ranting and all of that. So for my advice to them is just like what my brother is doing, keep yourself occupied. That's one thing. Keep your mind busy. Don't be idle. Then try to stay away from bad influences. Just do something. You could learn a trade. You could, if you're into music, practice your guitar. You could go record songs in the studio. Just make sure you're engaging your mind and try and stay in touch with your maybe your books if you can. But I can imagine that it's like a hopeless situation. You don't know where it's going to end. But just keep yourself engaged and reach out to people when you're feeling down. Reach out to someone, talk to people around you, let them know what you're feeling. That will really help.
All right. And that's a fine place to leave the conversation because our time is up, unfortunately. Thank you so much. Praise Agabi, a lawyer, author, lecturer, and a survivor of depression, and the Deputy Director, Nursing, Lagos State Ministry of Health, Shola Akiti, for your time on the program.
Thank you very much.